Good morning. It is April 2nd. I'm going to be working on a few things during this time of sheltering in. I don't quite see it as quarantine, although I was ill. I'm approaching maybe 12 or 13 days ago. I had a tickle in my throat, and that turned into a full on flu. It could have been the virus. I'm not sure. I tried to get tested, but I was refused because I didn't exhibit all the symptoms. That was fine with me. Whatever the case was, I had to deal with it, and I had to allow it to take its course, if you will. But in the process, I was faithful in believing that my healing wasn't just certain, but my healing would be speedy, and it was. It was. I did all the practical things that you're supposed to do to get better, but most importantly and most effectively, I prayed and I stood on the scriptures that declare healing, that promise that God is a hearer and an answer of prayer, that confirm and affirm that by Jesus' stripes that we're healed. And the popular scriptures, no weapon formed against us shall prosper, and the infamous Psalm 91, they're popular, they're famous, infamous, whatever term you want to use to call it. They're definitely not cliche because those scriptures are real. But you have to be a believer to know that. You have to be a believer for it to sink in and to be to take root in your spirit. So my husband was very practical, and soups and juices and smoothies and horrible tasting veggie drinks. And, my kids with their doses of love and laughter and my faith, so I was able to get past it, get by, because there is no quarantine in this house. We can't be apart from one another, and my heart goes out to the people whose health were not in the best, who weren't in their best well-being, who were hit with this. I'd like to use the word attacked, and the ones who passed away. It's a horrible thing for that to happen because it feels premature. Had this not be the case, these people would continue with their meds, would continue with their routine checkups and work on restoring their health. But unfortunately, the folks with pre-existing conditions were hit the hardest. And anyways, my point in sharing is that this time that I'm using is really to this time is not quarantine. That's where I was going with this. This time isn't quarantine because we, those of us that live together, cannot be apart from each other. And like I was saying, the people who took ill would have to have been closed in some kind of isolated place in their own house, perhaps. Lucky in their own house, so that they could actually still see their loved ones, not necessarily connect with them physically, but at least put eyes on them. And the others just ended up staying in the hospital until whatever undetermined amount of time, whether they made it out or they died. But the fact is that here in this house, there is no quarantine. I could not keep away my children. My I couldn't keep away from my husband, because of how we are in this house and how the roles are and who needs to carry out what. And I manage my house. And sick or not sick, I have to get up. I have to feed everybody. I have to instruct the kids, especially because now they have remote learning. But for the most part, they were being homeschooled. I was the mommy and the teacher. Thankfully, I turned them over to a good school last September, and they're doing amazingly in that school. They're thriving very well academically. And so now I've been giving them back. But no, they've been given back to me during this time. So I have to continue my homeschooling on top of their academic expectations. So, needless to say, that's a lot. It's a lot to be under the weather. And even when you're not, it still could be taxing on the body. It could be taxing on the mind. What time is it? It's almost 10 o'clock. I have a schedule for them. And I have a minute to do this. But quite honestly, I haven't even washed my face. Did I brush my teeth? I don't remember. I don't think I did. I had my coffee. And the kids usually have two breakfast times. Like as soon as they wake up, they're starving. So they get like a little bit of like warm milk and a biscuit, or what we call biscuits, be sweet. It's like a little cookie. Or they have like a small bowl of cereal, but then they have a hearty, wholesome breakfast between the 9 and 10:30 hour. So they're pretty much seated right now, and I just felt like taking a minute to to share. And real talk is necessary.